Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Factorio Masochists Marathon. So last episode we started off the construction of Advanced Circuits 1 outpost thingy, and this episode I want to get that all finished. So we start the episode off taking the train back down, and we finish a bit of productivity mining there. I take a few seconds to decide what to do next, and I want to get the combat robotics stuff done just to see how that's all going to work out. We're going to have to do a lot of follow account stuff to make that worthwhile. But we start the episode off having a bit of a sort out of my power armor. Basically, all this footage was taken in my first Twitch live stream the other day. Was it on Tuesday? I can't remember now. I haven't had time to actually do all this until today. But we start off just rearranging the things in the power armor. I wanted to fit a few more shields in and another running legs. And I want to see if I can run this whole thing off one reactor, because those four Mark II batteries, have a huge capacity of power. So if you manage your power well, I have a feeling I might be able to run it all off one reactor. And it seems to work okay to begin with, but it's going to take a few episodes for me to decide if this is all actually going to work. Anyway, there's a few edits there. We're just collecting a load of stuff for the building, finishing off of the area. And there's some various edits around, because this is over 2 hours worth of footage at 4 times speed, edited down to sort of fit into around 20 minutes. So I've cut out all the boring bits, all the times where I sort of stop and read the chat and stuff and talk to people. So there's a few skips. I don't think I've cut anything out too important, but yeah, we shall see. Anyway, we come up, and the next step we need to do is somewhere to unload all that steel that we'd set up last episode. We set up our first outpost for just smelting steel straight away from... Not steel, sorry, smelting iron from the iron over in the northwest. Yeah, just having to remember what a compass looks like for a second. So we get that all done. I don't have a blueprint for an unloading, so I did have to do this kind of manually, because the one I have is for loading, so I guess it would take me just as long to start turning all the tracks around and everything, and plus the belts wouldn't be laid out the same. So I do all this all manually for now. I'll probably get it in Foreman. I want to call it Foreman in the blueprint book, because we're probably going to need this again some more. More and more of these outposts are going to exist. So we get some coal fuel for the steam engines as well. That's nice and close to that coal patch there, so that's pretty handy. Don't know what I'm going to do when that patch finally runs out, because the trains that run from the smelting outposts to these kind of outposts will never go to the factory, so they're never going to get fed, so they need somewhere to be. And that train ran out of fuel just before it got there, so I put one bit of wood in just to finish off the last of the journey. So we start laying out those unloading belts I was talking about. And to begin with, I do it manually, but then I realize I can do it on the map. I can go and grab it and even reverse it as well with the picker mod. And that makes that all a lot easier. And I get a balancer in just to make sure we're using all those chests off the train equally. I could do a reversed Matsuri unloader. I'm going to probably put that in the blueprint book at some point, because that's going to be quite handy. And it'll save us a lot of resources. Well, I say a lot. It'll save us a few belts and splitters and stuff. But we get that all hooked up, having to place that balancer again, because it wasn't perfectly lined up. And if it's not perfectly lined up, I'm not happy. So, again, I wanted to re-lay out the feeding of this copper smelting area here. So we have a bit more room to take the copper plates out and feed that into our electronic circuits production and the advanced circuit production. I'm going to need to build a second, maybe even third, copper smelting column, just to make sure this is all fed with enough. But to begin with, I just want to get the whole thing working, so I don't really care at this point. We are just going to get it all running. And there's our electronic circuits. But yeah, for this whole thing to run properly, it does need a hell of a lot more copper plates, and we're going to need more copper plates for advanced circuit production as well, which we start laying out up here. I just randomly decided this is the best place to do it. I'm only going to really find out if this area is laid out properly once it's been running for a while. And yeah, like with Electronics 1, now I've set it up and got it running, I've realized a much better way to lay it out, which we'll be doing very soon. That area needs completely redoing. It's nearly run out of the patches. The patches are nearly completely mined, so when it's mining those last little bits, I can start laying out how we're going to do it all. We're probably going to smelt all the copper and iron remotely, and then just bring it on a train like we're doing for this electronics here. And that should work quite nicely. We're going to have to do a lot more biter clearing soon to get some more iron patches. So yeah, I've had a thought about how this whole recording thing's going to go, and I kind of liked it, being able to use the footage from the live stream to then come and make an episode. A couple of problems though, the video quality isn't as good, and for me personally that is a bit annoying, but some people probably don't care about that. And the other thing is, towards the end I noticed the sound goes way out of sync, so I'll have to see how that's going to look with the 4x footage in a bit. But yeah, it's not going to be every video I'm going to record doing a live stream. It's probably just going to be some. So what we're doing here, we're trying to work out where the advanced circuits are going to be loaded onto a train. And I, to begin with, think I'm going to do it down here. But then I can't get a proper loop in for the 2 trains, because I can't have the loop like this if the other station's on there. It would just look like a mess. So I then decide to completely reverse the idea and load it on north of the advanced circuits area, which isn't really the best idea because it prevents me from scaling the area in a certain way, but we'll just have to scale it in a slightly different way by just adding more columns next to each other, which just means the feeding's a bit messier. But again, I can rebuild this whole area at a later date. So we come to put the rail up north of the advanced bit with file, and I have to mess around for ages trying to get it round this copper patch, because I'm going to mine the copper patch and then I can straighten the rails up at a later date. So I edit a lot of that out. I had to go get some more rail. We come and line up where the rails need to go. So once that copper patch is gone, this is all lined up nicely, because then that would be very annoying when we come to take these kinks out the track. So we come and lay the rails in to do the loading for the advanced circuits, skipping ahead because that bit was a little bit fussy, trying to avoid that coal patch. Again, once that coal patch there is gone, we can put that corner in properly, but as long as it works for now, it doesn't really matter too much. And we finished the expansion of the advanced circuits area. It would be nice to have it at the length to saturate a full yellow belt, but it'll be fine. We'll get some beacons in later on, and we'll get this whole thing running way faster. So we get our loading station in, which we do have in the blueprints book, so that's really quick and easy to lay out. Just need to craft a few of the inserters, which we don't have enough of, and we get that all placed out, sticking the loop in while the bots do the rest for us. It's so nice having power armor now and a personal roboport. Soon I'll get the personal roboport too, and it'll be even better. But yeah, we got all those advanced circuits loading on. So we got our first outpost. This is probably going to be the only advanced circuits outpost. It's going to be the processing unit outpost that's going to be the craziest, I think. Don't know how I'm going to go about doing that. I haven't really thought about it yet, but we'll work it out. So we come back down to the factory to get a train on the line to pick up those advanced circuits. And we're just going to get it to bring it into Logic 1. We're just going to get the bots to unload it. So we finished Combat Robotics 3. We've got all the stuff we need to get building those, which we'll do in a little bit. And I do another productivity mining upgrade because it's just good to get those all done with the type of patches we're playing with. We just come up and have a look to see how the area is doing. And it definitely needs more copper for those electronic circuits. But it's producing a pretty huge amount. This should help with the factory massively. Now, another thing I noticed while in the live stream was we ran out of stone. So we'd finished mining the stone patch, and we'd also mined all the stone we had in the logistics system. So that's another thing we needed to get set up, because otherwise this was going to halt any science involving the production packs. Are they called production packs? I've completely forgotten what the purple ones are now. Anyway, we get this all hooked up nicely, get it all loading. It's quite quick doing all this because it's all pretty much blueprints, and we've got everything on it we need. Get it all powered and get the station renamed to Stone 1. To be honest, this is probably going to be the only ever stone outpost. I don't really see us having another one, or maybe we will, I don't know. And we just come and put in a train for the stone as well. I also want to double up the logistics unloading. We'll get some more logistics slots as we actually need them. At the moment, it's not a massive thing. So this one can do for now, but then when it starts to really get congested, I'll start looking at redoing the whole unloading depot, because it is not completely nice and neat and equally spaced out and absolutely perfect, but you know, we will get that sorted on another day. So we've got a stone being put onto the belts to take up to the smelting. Now we need to do the same for the advanced circuits. So we get that done. I also want to put in something to basically say any of the advanced circuits made in the factory need to go to science before they go to anywhere else, because we're not actually feeding this off by the ones delivered by train, but this should be more than enough to at least keep the blue science going. So we get that done. I have to mess around with the values. I do equal to 7, even though it probably should have been greater than 6. But yeah, I kind of got that wrong. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We get this done, but I don't notice there, or past me, or live me, didn't notice the belt jumping down a line there. And I get all this done, and it's all fine. We get it all loading. It's happy as Larry. Whoever Larry is, get those loading. And then I go to run down to make sure it's all going, and that's when I realised my derp. In fact, I think people were shouting at me in the chat as well. I think James was getting exceptionally pissed off. But yeah, we finally get that all laid out properly. Don't know if I really need those underground belts, but oh well, it makes sure it's all fed nicely. So next up, we need to maybe get a bit more charging in for the robots, because yeah, more and more unloading is going to be happening here. Don't know if we're ever going to bring copper and iron plates in to here, but you know, we may do at some point. I don't know. Might be a good way to increase the main bus production. But yeah, once we've got all these sciences running at 1 per second, I really need to work out where we're going to take this game next. How are we going to increase the amount of science? Probably going to be in the form of loads and loads of outposts, which means a hell of a lot of biter slaying to do that. So I need to work out where we're going to go with that. I then realised, after collecting a few more bits and bobs, a problem with bringing in advanced circuits by logistics into the system and then getting them to offload from requester chests is that if there's not enough in the logistics system, they're going to come and take it from the passive provider down here, and it's just going to be a constant loop. So yeah, I'll have to take that passive provider out at the end, and the bots are just going to have to carry the advanced circuits all the way the length of the bus down to the production area at the end. I could move the production area up to here, but then we're not loading other stuff in, and yeah, so I need to decide how I'm going to rearrange that. Maybe have the logistics construction area and have passive providers of all the materials down this end. It's not going to be so consistent with my usual design, but oh well, never mind. And just back there, we got to see the immense amount of logistics robots doing all the logic unloading, which is going to become more and more of a thing. So we come down to the area I was talking about, the logistics construction area. And I want to get a load of logic storage chests done, because I want to increase that area massively. So we get that shoehorned in there. Well, not really shoehorned. That's following my usual layout. It's not too bad, so not really a problem there. So with that now automated, we head back down. I take my personal roboports out, just because I don't want them placing stuff. And I come to massively increase our logic storage, because one of the problems was stone and steel were going to build up in the logistics system, and this was my solution to begin with. But then Beak in the live chat suggested doing something with green circuits, and I thought I'd have to wire up all the logic chests, but he suggested just hooking a roboport up with a circuit wire, which I didn't realize was actually a thing, or maybe I did in the past and I've just completely forgotten about it. But to take a reading of everything in your logistics system, just take a circuit wire from your roboport, and we take that up to stone to begin with. I was going to maybe do steel as well, but being as that's going to run out, I don't really bother. So to begin with, I hook it up to a signal, but then another thing I didn't realize, which Beak suggested, was to actually hook it up to the station, and then you have a circuit condition on the train, which makes so much sense. So I do eventually get that done. But yeah, I can't believe I've never actually used that before, but that should control the amount of stone we have in the logistics system. Yeah, I think I actually nearly walked off and then realized and came back and redid it with the train. I kind of get the circuit condition slightly wrong on the train. To begin with, I just say when there's less than 10,000 in the logistics system, but I also need to put also and when the train is full as well. So it's not just immediately leaving. As soon as the factory needs stone, it'll at least leave with a full trains load. So we're getting a fair number of trains now. It's getting busier and busier on these lines. But as we run around in the next few minutes, you can see just how many trains there are running on this particular section up north. Not exactly this bit past the junction, but just the junction just south of us. Once we go back down past that, you can just see just how busy it is. But we head up to go and stick some radars in the advanced circuits area, because we can't currently see that on the map. So we head up to go and do that and just have another look at it as well, just to see it running after a little bit. Once all the buffered bits have run through, we can see where the actual problems are, which I'm pretty sure is still copper being fed to electronic circuits. So we'll get that all sorted. I noticed the copper ore through to the smelting wasn't absolutely perfect, so I was going to stop it and rebuild it. But then I thought, no, I'll just upgrade a couple of the splitters to red. And also, not all of the smelters were running, so we just get this first few on red belts, even though the 4 yellows feeding the 2 reds should be enough to saturate this whole thing. That just makes sure they are all running. And you can just see how little iron we've got left for steel 1. So that's going to need sorting out at some point. But there is a hell of a lot of steel in the logistics system. So we only really need to sort that out when it starts to run low in the logistics system. That area could run out and stop. And we could run off the logistics system for quite a bit. It just depends on how much we're really using. I then just come and check the production of these logistic storage chests because they weren't exactly going. They're not getting enough advanced circuits. And to begin with, I thought, oh, they're none coming down from the outposts. But there are plenty in the logistics system. So I go and check that, but then I come back and I just put the value up because I use the copy and paste feature, which is good, but it's not bringing in enough to buffer for the fact that they're having to be carried all the way down the bus. So we get that all increased. Next up is I want to get the production of some combat robotics, which I really like. Some people don't like them so much. They're only really effective when you've got a really high robot follower count. And I think is there damage upgrades for them as well? I can't quite remember. But yeah, you need like at least 70 for them to be really effective. But I want to get on and change my method of biter clearing from laser turrets to something different. Obviously, eventually it's just going to be me with a load of nukes. But yeah, for a while it's probably going to be flamers and combat robots, which is usually pretty effective as far as I can remember. But the flamer has been nerfed quite a bit. Stuff doesn't stay on fire like it used to. So that's a bit frustrating. We're going to have to get a load of flamer upgrades done. It might even be good to get launching some rockets soon and get some rocket science going and get some of the, what's the word? The infinite research. Yeah, get some of the infinite research done. That would be pretty cool. But with the tech value I'm running, that's going to be pretty difficult. I'm going to have to start building science outposts, I think, to really increase our amount of science. I'm probably going to have to double up and do 2 science cycles per second. That's what we come and have a look at next, actually, is the rate of science we're doing. And I realised that blue science isn't... Well, blue science is the one that is falling behind than everything else. And I completely forgot when I built this thing ages ago, it wasn't with 1 every second in mind. It was half the number that I needed. I think I placed 6 out and I need 12, or is it I had 12 out and I need 24? I can't remember. They take 12 seconds. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, we doubled up the value of green and red, so we needed to double the blue, which we never did because I was never going to be able to create enough miners for it. And at the moment, we're kind of using half the amount of iron being fed to the miner production, so this should kind of work. So we get this all laid out. It does kind of fit in fairly nicely. I come and automate some of the production, or I add some of this production into the logistics system, although I was going to delete that area soon. And we get this all in. The only problem is we need to double up the miner production, which uses an absurd amount of iron. So yeah, I'm going to work out how to feed this. I'm probably just going to need to upgrade these to blue belts and get the main bus iron upgraded to blue. That's probably going to be the next stage. Rather than shoehorning in too many extra belts, that'd be the easiest way to get this thing running fully. But yeah, like I said, it's going to use an absurd amount of iron, which is fine. That's great. It just means more outposts. I have to put more smelting. So this area is almost running. It needs a load of inserters. I think I put the wrong chests out for those inserters. We get all the other things on that column added to input into the logistics system as well. I might as well just leave that area running for now rather than putting it in the fully automated bit. But just not enough iron coming through to feed this thing fully. And there are actually some gaps in the belt. And I realise there's a bit of a throughput problem. And it's one of the underground belts on that balancer there is still yellow, so that needs upgrading. But to be honest, these 4 probably all need upgrading to blue, and we need to increase our smelting in the factory. It's probably time to upgrade to electronic smelters rather than make the rows longer and get some modules in, get some beacons in, and just massively increase our plate smelting even further. I think that's the area that needs it the most, though, is for blue science. The science lab area also needs rebuilding pretty badly. Probably not now going to be able to consume the amount of science packs we're building. I just come and check on our Kovacs area just to make sure we've got plenty of 235. I think we've got 1,500. So we've got loads of that. I'm not going to have to expand that area for a little while. Probably not until we need to start building nukes and other stuff using 235. So yeah, plenty of things still to do on this map, just not enough time. So one of the other things I've been thinking about is more ideas for live streams, and there was some good suggestions in the chat. James suggested obviously we should do some form of a multiplayer, so I need to do a test in the week to see if I can live stream and host a multiplayer game on my connection, see if that all works okay. But Sarah was also talking about the there is no spoon achievement. Now, if I can overcome my absurd fussiness, then I was thinking maybe we could do a live stream and we try and launch a rocket within 8 hours for the there is no spoon achievement. So I'd appreciate people's opinion on that if everyone's up for joining that. Because, of course, in theory, the more people, the more likely we are to achieve it. So I'd be well up for trying that. Also, I may start doing live streams of this map and not have it in an episode. Then in the next episode, I just do a 5-minute highlight of what's been done in it. Maybe only do tidying up or rebuilding stuff in live streams, and then keep all the brand new builds in new episodes. Maybe do it like that. We'd get it through the series a hell of a lot quicker. We'd get to launching rockets so much quicker. Not that I'm in a rush to get rid of this series or anything. It'd just be good to sort of take that leap to where we can really take this to another level, which is going to involve a lot of biter slaying, a lot of rebuilding the smelting areas, and other stuff like that. So yeah, suggestions on live streams would be great. My other idea was, I think we had it with Bob's Angels and I never did it, is if the multiplayer live stream combination does work, then at the end of this map's kind of series, just open it up and everyone just come on and we have a massive multiplayer live stream session and we just mess around fixing all the things I got wrong on this map. But of course, that's a very, very long time away. We've got plenty more time on this map. Plenty more things to do. But with all that said and done, that is going to be all we have time for. I do hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and please do come and join us in the next episode. Bye-bye.